The American legal system, ladies and gentlemen, it's a majestic beast. A labyrinthine system of rules and regulations designed to, in theory, ensure justice for all. But what happens when the very people entrusted to uphold those rules, well, let's just say they start playing fast and loose. With them, it's not exactly a Perry Mason moment, is it? A lawyer's reputation is built on trust, ethics, and professionalism. However, even small mistakes can lead to professional misconduct charges, damaging careers and credibility. In this video, we'll discuss the most common professional misconduct issues that lawyers face, their consequences, and how to avoid them. Let's get started. Look, we've all been there. You're out with friends, a few drinks in, and suddenly you're sharing a story you probably shouldn't. But when you're a lawyer, those stories can have serious consequences. Client confidentiality is the backbone of the attorney-client relationship. Everything you discuss with your client is strictly confidential, protected by law. Think of it like Vegas: what's said in the lawyer's office stays in the lawyer's office. Unless disclosure is required by law, mum's the word. Conflicts of interest. The legal equivalent of juggling chainsaws on a tightrope. It's a recipe for disaster. Imagine a lawyer representing both parties in a bitter divorce, or advising competing companies. It's like being in two places at once. The solution? Thorough conflict checks. Ensure no conflict with existing clients. Disclose any conflicts immediately. Transparency is key. Let's talk about money, shall we? Specifically, client money. You might be tempted to think of those juicy client trust funds as your own personal piggy bank. Misusing client funds is a one-way ticket to disbarmentville. Keep those funds separate. Maintain meticulous records, because those funds belong to your clients. So you aced law school, passed the bar, and now you're a real-life lawyer. Congratulations. But here's the catch. Knowing the law is only half the battle. The other half, actually being competent at your job. Look, we all make mistakes, but when it comes to the law, those mistakes can have serious consequences for your clients. Missing deadlines, filing incorrect paperwork, providing bad legal advice. These are all prime examples of negligence and incompetence, and they can land you in hot water faster than, you can say, habeas corpus. So how do you avoid this legal landmine? Stay up to date on legal developments, manage your caseload efficiently, and if you're ever in doubt, don't be afraid to ask for help. Because in the world of law, a little humility can go a long way. All right, let's address the elephant in the courtroom: lying. Now, I know what you're thinking, but John, lawyers are basically professional liars. And while that might be a hilarious oversimplification, the truth is honesty is actually pretty important in the legal profession. Falsifying documents, making false statements to the court, misleading your clients. These aren't just ethical violations, they're straight up crimes. And trust me, you don't want to be on the wrong side of the law when you're seen. It's harm to this oppose here by only to the law. The CFINI solution here is about as straightforward as it gets. Be honest. Don't exaggerate the facts. Don't make promises you can't keep. And for the love of all that is good and decent, don't even think about forging a signature. You know that feeling when you send someone a text and they just ghost you? Yeah. Well, imagine that feeling amplified tenfold when you're a client desperately trying to reach your lawyer. Look, we get it, lawyers are busy people, but that's no excuse for ignoring your clients' calls, emails, and carrier pigeons. Communication is key in any relationship, but especially in the legal world, where your clients are relying on you for guidance and support. So, make a schedule, set reminders, and for the love of all that is good and responsive, check your voicemail. Your clients and your reputation will thank you. Chapter 7. Advertising Gone Wrong. When legal marketing crosses the line, the wonderful world of legal advertising, a land of cheesy jingles, dramatic reenactments, and promises you can't actually keep. Look, we all know lawyers need to advertise their services, but there's a fine line between promoting your expertise and making outlandish claims that would make a used car salesman blush, guaranteeing case outcomes, exaggerating your experience, or making misleading statements about your fees. These are all big no-nos in the world of legal advertising. So before you film that epic slow-motion walk down a courthouse hallway, make sure your advertising complies with all ethical and legal guidelines. Because the last thing you want is to be slapped with a disciplinary action for a catchy jingle that's a little too creative. Chapter 8. Lost in Legal Translation, the Unauthorized Practice of Law. The legal profession is like a delicious, complex stew, with each jurisdiction adding its own unique blend of rules and regulations. And just like you wouldn't use a spoon to eat soup, you shouldn't practice law in a jurisdiction where you're not licensed. It's a recipe for disaster, and frankly, it's just rude. So before you start handing out legal advice like it's candy, make sure you're actually qualified to do so in that particular jurisdiction. Because the last thing you want is to be caught practicing law without a license. It's not a good look, trust me. Chapter 9. Courtroom Chaos, Misconduct in the House of Law. The courtroom, a place of order, decorum, and the occasional dramatic outburst. But while a bit of courtroom theatrics can be entertaining, there's a big difference between passionate advocacy and straight-up misconduct. Disrespecting the judge, harassing witnesses, or trying to sneak in inadmissible evidence. These are all surefire ways to earn yourself a one-way ticket to contempt court. So, how do you avoid becoming public enemy number 1 in the eyes of the judge? Simple. Follow the rules, be respectful, and save your dramatic flourishes for your closing argument. Because remember, the courtroom isn't your personal stage, it's a place where justice is supposed to be served. Chapter 10. Social Media Slip-Ups. When online posts land lawyers in hot water. Social media. The digital Wild West where everyone's an expert and nothing is truly private. But while posting that hilarious cat meme might seem harmless enough, for lawyers, social media can be a minefield of ethical violations. Discussing ongoing cases, bad-mouthing judges, or revealing confidential client information. These are all things that should never ever see the light of day on your social media feeds. Look, we get it. Everyone wants to be an influencer these days. But when it comes to your online presence as a lawyer, discretion is the better part of valor. So think before you post. Avoid discussing legal matters publicly. And for the love of all that is good and professional, keep your cat memes to yourself. Outro, the gavel comes down. Consequences of professional misconduct. Now that we've covered common issues, let's discuss their consequences. A lawyer's reputation is built on trust, ethics, and professionalism. When lawyers engage in misconduct, it erodes the public's confidence in the legal profession. The consequences of professional misconduct can be severe, ranging from disciplinary actions to financial ruin. Disciplinary actions such as warnings, suspensions, or even disbarment can permanently tarnish a lawyer's reputation and ability to practice law. Legal liability, including lawsuits and malpractice claims, can result in significant financial losses and damage to a lawyer's professional standing.